Now, throughout the news review, we want to hear from you. So if you have any questions, comments, or contributions to the conversation, let us know with the hashtag BreakfastDaily, and the WhatsApp line is 0550-585-832. I have been joined by Richard Kumadoe, who's a security and risk analyst. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good. So it's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah. It's good to be back.
Thank you. I also have with me Duncan Amoah, who's the Executive Secretary of COPEC. Good morning, Duncan.
Good morning, and good to see you.
Good to see you too. Today you don't have any extra comments to make. You're on your best behavior.
They are watching, and I know they would accuse me again that when the male host comes, I don't appear. But
of course, we know that's not true.
You can't blame me.
Okay, we'll take a look at our first story. I'm reading from citinewsroom.com, and it says, another top police officer in BNI custody over alleged destabilization plot. So we know that a couple of months ago, some men were arrested for threatening to allegedly destabilize the country. This is the second, police officer a top police officer actually, who has been arrested in connection to this destabilization plot. So I'll read the story briefly, then we'll hear from our security analyst. A former director of the Transformation Officer of the Ghana Police Service, ACP Dr. Benjamin Agozo, is currently in custody of the Bureau of National Investigations over his alleged involvement in a supposed plot by some persons to destabilize the country. Already, some 9 persons, including Dr. Frederick Yao Palm, who's believed to be the lead mastermind, have been charged for treason, felony, and are standing trial. ACP Dr. Benjamin Agozo becomes the second top police officer to have been questioned on this matter after COP Nathan Kofi Boakye. His lawyer, Martin Pebu, in a Citi News interview said ACP Agozo, during interrogation, was confronted with comments he made in a WhatsApp group allegedly being used by some suspected coup plotters, in which he said the conditions in the country was rife for an uprising. So I'm going to quote his lawyer. The group that is said to have organized the coup have a WhatsApp platform. The major part of our interrogations is that he was confronted with messages on the platform. ACP is said to have stated that Ghana has conditions which are rife for an Arab Spring. They asked him, and he said what he said was in a context, and that the WhatsApp platform was set up to discuss social and political matters, and so that was his opinion. He goes on to say, they stated that there is no bail for him, so they just whisked him away. They've taken him away, they've taken him from BNI Annex. They will go and detain him somewhere. They say on Tuesday morning, which is today, we should come and continue with the interrogation. So, Mr. Kumadoe, can you provide, first of all, your thoughts on this very, senior policeman being arrested for just a comment he made on a WhatsApp platform?
This is the disturbing aspect of it, Dziffa. When I heard it, I was surprised again, especially when you are talking about Kofi Boakye, you are talking about this particular gentleman. I don't know him much, but I know Kofi Boakye much, and his work for Ghana and what he has done over the years speak for itself. To the extent that I want to advise all police officers or law enforcement agencies that once you work within the state, be careful what you say. Therefore, hygienic social media lifestyle is so great, because even these days the foreign nations do social media background checks before you are granted a visa. And to the extent that he speaks because of the comments he made, then I think his lawyers will need to battle up with the state agencies. Other than that, it looks so trivial, and it looks so funny, and it looks so something, because there are various people within governments today and opposition today who made several comments on social issues of things they believe in. But to the extent that people will say he's flouting the code of ethics, that he's a serving police officer, and he could make such statements, then they also have a justification. But we are just hoping that reasoning will balance itself. But this is a state carrying out investigation. So therefore, they might have more than what they are giving it. But if they are picking up the guy because he belongs to a social media platform, for which he makes those statements. Then I'm just saying that my fathers and my brothers in national security who I know so well need to come better than this one. Why? Because I could be picked for what I have said on a social media platform or as a commentator commenting on issues such as this on Citi TV, and somebody is not happy with it, so therefore Richard Kumadoe is picked. Hey, come on, I have served this country for so many years, and I don't intend destabilizing this state for anything. Democracy is what we are voted for. And so therefore, people must understand that within democracy, you may have opposing views. And to the extent that those views do not carry any major threat against the state, we should treat ourselves properly and lovely. In the case of Kofi Boakye, Dziffa, I've prayed that it is true that Kofi Boakye wants to destabilize the state.
Why?
If it is not true, Dziffa, you know what? The impact and the effect is too much. And it will be too much for serving officers to realize one day that one of their big guys was picked at the very top when the allegations against him, and it's not true.
Why? How big is it?
You know why? The way the state is crafted, the state has so much power that when the state decides to come after you, you only need the hand of God to be able to escape. And so therefore, in the interest of the state, some families and some individuals and some groups and clans suffer unnecessarily in the interest of the state. Now, who defines the interest of the state are people you might not want to know, or you have no idea who they are and their reasons. And so therefore, for serving officer like Kofi Boakye or for Yaudonko or Gbevrolate and all those guys who have played those major roles at the very top that people look after them, before you come against them with an allegation of destabilizing the state, you must know exactly what you're talking about.
But how does his arrest change the narrative? Because initially when the doctors were arrested, people made fun of it, that these are not proper people. And I remember you even coming here to say we haven't really picked up anyone from the military. So to see two senior police officers being questioned, does that change the threat that people
then
are actually
again, government communication, government communication is not giving us so much. They are saying that they make comments on a platform. And so this is a WhatsApp group who has my number, and by association, being on that platform is enough justification to say that...
Well, you're on a platform with people who are threatening to destabilize the country.
That is why I'm saying that you must also be careful the platforms you belong to. But to say that because I make a case or I make a statement to say that Ghana is in hardship or something, come on, those are professional ethics, and that should not amount to whatever they are calling. I'm not speaking for this particular guy, but I'm just speaking for Kofi Boakye. To say that Kofi Boakye belongs to a platform, or the guys are saying that, alluding to the fact when you haven't heard from Boakye's side that Boakye wants to destabilize the state and he's supposed to make the coup d'etat statement to lead this country. We have to be serious about what we are saying. And I'm praying to God that exactly what they are saying about Kofi Boakye is true. But if it is not true, then we have heard the case of Gbevrolate School. We have heard the case of Kuntor School. We have heard those cases. And these are senior officers. When we do these things against ourselves as security officers, in the interest of partisan politics, it creates all manner of reasons.
But these are also police officers who have, criticized the government. They've criticized this whole vigilantism thing. So does it feel targeted in a way? That
I believe Kofi Boakye I believe if you know Kofi Boakye and the way he operated over all these years, he has been a critical person. He has been somebody who speaks his mind on issues. You saw what he said at Takrady. I'm suspecting that particular statement which he made at Takrady, especially when the president has spoken, and he came up to speak, and I believe he was speaking more now as a lawyer and not as a security officer, because serving security officer making those statements, I know he's going to be in trouble. And so therefore, I was not surprised that he was speaking up for those things. But I'm just saying that I believe what they are saying about him is true. If it is not true, it's sending a bad signal to the men and women who are serving in this city. And you remember what you just said about the police. These are people who have served the nation for all these years. The likes of Yaudonko, Kofi Boakye, Gbevrolate, Nafori, Mr. Kwansin, and all those guys who have served over the years. The security coordinator now, Mr. Chairman. These are senior officers who have served with dignity. And so therefore, before we go after them, we must have some enough evidence against them. But for just speaking their mind, I know people who spoke their mind privately and publicly on serious issues, and they have never been picked out, or they were dealt with in a manner that promotes cohesion and, promote teamwork within this country. Because we need them to lead us front for it.
Okay, so as the arrest of this second police officer, what does it really say about perhaps the tolerance level of government, that someone goes on a WhatsApp platform to share his views and he's picked up in a democracy?
But I think this government, where people we know who were so tolerant, they believe in the rule of law, they believe in all manner of things. Especially, he's not somebody I know, that so therefore I'm finding it difficult to speak for him.
But even the details of
the details of what he said, they said Ghana is right for arms spring, and because of that, he was qualified to be picked. To be interrogated. Well, that is interrogation, but once you get to court, I'm happy that he has a lawyer that they will battle it in terms of legalities and what constitutes destabilization in the state. Maybe he must be charged for breaking the ethical rule as a serving officer, and once you are serving, they are
what's so unethical about saying there are some conditions in the country
somebody
that
has issue about his saying that Ghana is right for upstream. So
is there something that, I mean, you've served before? Is there something you'll be afraid to say that you get picked up?
Personally, because the BNI does so much work than what we are reducing them to do. Dziffa, seriously, I've served with the BNI and I'm proud of that bureau. The bureau is the only thing you have in this country that holds the state together, not the politicians. And so therefore the bureau has more interest in the affairs of this country than any other person. And so therefore the bureau has more structures, more formalized ways of doing things than what we are talking about. Let me give you one example. Today, we get out, assuming we are up today, and they say Yaudoko or Gbevolati or whatever is planning a coup d'etat or try to destabilize the state. The Bureau has a formalized ways of dealing with it without rocking the boat or without creating agitation in the airways. Because these are serious people who have served this country. So therefore we should be looking at the reasons why they will even want to do such a thing, and not just to bastardize them and to create all manner of things because the guys have just spoken about this one. And for him too, we must learn lessons out of this, because you are a serving officer, and once you say things that people are not happy with it, then you could be picked up.
Thank you very much. Duncan.
You see, Dziffa, driving here, one thing kept ringing on my mind. There's a very powerful statement or saying that says, they came for the Arabs. I said nothing because I wasn't an Arab. Then they came for the Jews. Again, I said nothing because I was not a Jew. They eventually came for the Christians. Again, I was quiet because I was not a Christian. When they finally came for me, there was nobody left to speak for me. I do think that the high-handedness with which the state security apparatus is behaving currently is disturbing for any democracy anywhere across the world. People only are guaranteed their rights and freedoms in a democracy as ours. If an opinion constitutes grounds for a coup, then I think almost 80% of Ghanaians should be charged immediately.
But we are not in WhatsApp groups with alleged destabilization plotters.
You see, Dziffa, you cannot. I personally, I do have over 500 different groups that would add me. And usually it is difficult to just exit or delete because people will think you're growing ears or shoulders. So sometimes you just sort of stay on read. Some people will have extreme views. It's to be understood, because the hardships that we go through, we don't go through with, in similar fashion. There are people who cannot afford to buy, one meal a day. So when such persons are talking, the energy with which they express their disappointment or frustration might be different from somebody who is a bit comfortable in, say, Trasacco. So whereas some people think that, well, economy is doing well, others will think that everything is going wrong totally. You can't blame them. And again, like I indicated, from where Dziffa sits and where I sit, right, the different strata or the economic spectrum would determine the sort of frustration we express. From where Kofi Boakye sits, right, from where any top security personnel or person sits, the kind of information they get, the kind of frustrations they may express, they are humans, first and foremost. Now, to determine someone is probably plotting a coup, there must be some basic ingredients, right? Initially, when they picked this...
They are saying it's not a coup, it was a destabilization plot.
Dziffa, we've held demonstrations across this country. The law students recently had this confrontation with the police because they had written to the police, which is what the law required of them. The police had sought to usurp their own powers by stating they wouldn't allow them to go. Meanwhile, per the law, their only activity was to notify the police, which they had done. Eventually, when they took to the streets, the police at some point meet them and, you know, water cannons and rubber bullets and all of that. So, Dziffa, people who destabilize this country, from demonstrators to people who sit on radio in the morning, some of whom would insult the president, ministers, I mean, the clergy. We hear these things.
But they didn't, you know, purchase ammunitions.
Dziffa, you see, that is the more reason I get worried. The doctor that was alleged to have been plotting the coup, look at the sort of gadgets that we said we found with them.
Kitchen knife and the likes.
Dziffa, honestly, if you know the sort of sophisticated weapons that are in the hands of Ghana's military, and you wake up and you are told, my brother here probably has a certain cutlass and probably a small gun that for his own personal protection he uses. And so you found the cutlass and other things with him, so he's plotting a coup. It's a joke.
No, but some people have argued that 9/11 didn't take much to happen.
Dziffa,
and it was against the most powerful country in the world.
You see, there are different theories around 9/11. I would rather not even go there.
That's
but
fine.
Look at destabilizing a country or a democracy as Ghana. It might take a little more than just those kitchen knives and some guns, 1 or 2B, and some Bentois as others.
If you belittle things like that, when the big ones are coming, you might not see it.
Dziffa,
No?
and when you also pay too much attention to the very useless ones, you probably are likely to miss the bigger one, the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that Ghanaians are frustrated. The bigger picture is that this level of frustration is expressed differently, I mean, across the spectrum. While some insist that they are not seeing anything, others believe that things have improved. So if you go for those who insist they are not seeing anything, would you go for those who insist that things have improved also? Because these are different shades of opinion. If I sit here and say that conditions are becoming too ripe for an Arab Spring in Ghana, and that constitutes a coup attempt or destabilization attempt, then let us all of us be picked up. Because as I speak to you, Dziffa, you woke up yesterday, GMPC has decided that Ghana doesn't have money. Let's dissipate the little we have this way. And then you will come back and tax me at the pumps.
We're going to go to that story soon.
You see, so when these things frustrate us, the only thing that democracies allow is expression of opinions. And if you now criminalize these things, and you now seek to go after persons who are publicly, in the past, Kofi Boakye had stated, and it's on record, we've played these things over and over, that the way vigilantism is going, if it is not contained, it's not controlled, 2020 will be quite disturbing. Do we believe that he is now being criminalized for some of those statements he made? The same Agozo guy had made similar, statements openly. Do we, the ordinary civilian out there, get the certain impression that those who speak against wrongs in society now become targets, and so the list of chances that state security gets, it comes after you? If that is the case, then state security should be prepared. Because when you frustrate an entire 30 million people, when you tell people you can't express your opinions, you can't even talk, whether right or wrong, right? What you are now asking them is to use other means to express frustration other than talking. The only positive that democracy gives all of us is that you can express your frustration, even through demonstrations, civil unrest, right? Even when people decide, like what happened in Medina, Adenta, when these vehicles were knocking down people, there was a spontaneous action by the people.
Burning of tires and the like.
It wasn't planned.
Yeah.
But when people get frustrated to a certain point, they express those frustrations differently. If we are to get this impression, again, that some top security officials are being targeted so that they will not even be there at all to prevent any mayhem 2020, then the state security have failed all of us. We would need some credible evidence, other than just belonging to a WhatsApp group, Dziffa, belonging to a WhatsApp group. I have over 500. And when I see some of the comments on some of those groups, the only thing I do sometimes is to read and sometimes laugh. Because some are clearly, not born out of any proper information. But where they sit, that is how they feel. You can't force them. If they say the government has done so well, let's clap for them. You read. If they say the government has not done anything, this government, they say all kinds of things, and you criminalize them. What you are now telling the wider population is that do not talk, keep mum. Until your frustrations bottle up to the neck, you can all jump onto the streets, and at that point, I wonder who the state security will want to pick. Maybe they'll have to pick all 30 million. Okay. What is going on is worrying, and I personally am not a very happy person because in the end, Dziffa, we've all expressed one misgiving or the other. Should I wake up the next morning, what you hear, Dziffa, is that Duncan Amoah caught in armed robbery. Meanwhile, the monies in my account cannot even sustain me for a week. Yet they will tag you, they will use all kinds of incriminating evidence and, find a way just to give you a bad name. These are officers who have served their country to the top. Should, like my brother said, other members of the security agencies also be worried that you can rise to the top, but when politicians decide to unmake you, right, they will set you up, they will cook all kinds of allegations against you, and eventually, if you are not careful, you are even sacked from the service that you have toiled for all your life. Okay. These men, I do not think, from where I sit, I don't have all the information that the security agencies may have, but if it is a matter of WhatsApp platform, let's stop the games and the jokes in this country.
Thank you very much, Duncan. We'll go for a quick break. This is still Breakfast Daily on Citi TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. And, of course, keep those comments coming with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. The WhatsApp line 0550-585-832. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily on Citi TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, before the break, we were discussing another police officer in BNI custody over alleged destabilization plot. And his lawyer has come out to say that all of this had to do with a comment he made on a WhatsApp platform. Mr. Kumadoe, how do we handle cases like this in future, especially when it involves someone who has sacrificed a lot for the nation? Should we handle it with a bit of diligence and care?
Yeah, Dziffa, you are right, because back to Kofi Boakye again. You remember years ago when he was the director of operations, as part of intelligence gathering, he was alleged, or there was conspiracy against him, that he was dealing with some other guys that nearly kicked him out of the service. And I think when you add all these things against him as a person, I think we should handle him with a little bit of care. Now, we are talking about a WhatsApp group. Is he also not part of our trade craft to belong to all manner of groupings? Yeah. Is that not why we gather intelligence? Has our involvement in those groupings has risen to the level where we have become a threat? Or our involvement should be used as an asset to the state? And these guys are asset to the state. You hardly get them as asset. And I'm saying that they might be wrong, but we cannot treat them as any other person. Yeah. Because I have slept in Awodome Cemetery for years, for God's sake. When I was serving in the state, for this country, 25 years of my life, I gave it to this country called Ghana. And I'm still sitting here as Richard Kumadoe, and there are many people in the service who work so hard for this country. And so therefore, my uncles and my mothers and my brothers in national security and the BNI and everywhere, this is we. When it is about us, nobody speaks for us. But when it is about politicians and all manner of people, we gather ourselves and go for them. We are scared sometimes, but we are not afraid of dying for this country. And therefore, we deserve a little bit of decency and respect. And I wish I'm sitting before them. Thank God they are interrogating them or they are questioning them, because the BNI questions and the police interviews. And so therefore, we need to treat ourselves properly with decency and respect. And so going forward, I think, I don't have the full details against them, but the way the story was thrown out there, a police officer from Ashanti region and all manner of things, the descriptions they were giving him. Who doesn't know Kofi Boakye? In the days of Accra region, who doesn't know him? And here Kofi Boakye himself, in 2002, I whispered something into his ears at the Castle Junction, and those things are still relevant today. And so therefore, even if Kofi Boakye goes to prison, and it is not true he has done what he has done, then his conscience is free. And his daughter will not be asking him so many questions, because I know how close he is to his daughter. And the daddy, are you involved in plotting coup d'etat to overthrow the government? You know, those things are serious things, and we should take them seriously.
Would it send another signal to other police senior officers to keep shut and not be so vocal about national issues?
As part of our training, we are professionals. And so therefore, we have to be objective in whatever we do. And in all my commentaries, in all the articles I've written for all these years, objectivity has always been my thing. When NDC was in power, some of the guys in national security today, we were hanging around with them. Today, some people got into national security, and they see some other people to be enemies of the state. To be tagged as enemy of the state, it goes beyond just comments people have made. That is the point I'm making. Objectivity and professionalism is what we were brought up with. And integrity is what we stand for. Some people don't have it, so therefore, once you express an opinion and they think they are uncomfortable with it, then you attack all manner of things. We should stop that. I suffered so much. So many people came after me, and because of this country called Ghana, because some people make allegations against coup plotters that seem not to be true. And their families suffered unduly. And so therefore, when the state decides to come after you, it's a serious and a dangerous thing. The state is so powerful, the way this state is crafted, that the state can do anything. When you travel across the world, as part of immigration and SEPS protocol, they may even open your bag. And they will leave a note that we have opened your bag. The point I'm making is that the fact that they see cocaine in your house, or they see guns in your house or something, one do not mean you put the guns there in the first place. The fact that they have cocaine in your bag doesn't mean that the cocaine belongs to you. We have to do it properly. And so therefore, the Bureau, which is our beloved national security cohort, or the BNI, has a way of separating the rough from the other ones. You remember the case of Malam Issa? Before he went to prison, there was this case about they went to his house and they saw monies in flower pot, for God's sake. This is 21st century investigative strategies we are talking about. I cannot be teaching them on platforms such as this, but I believe the Bureau has so much people in there and they have so much resources at their disposal that they want to do the right thing. They will do it. One day, Yadoko said something. Let me quote him here. He said the seat of the BNI can be used for both good and bad. And so therefore, whoever sits on the seat will have to weigh the options. And nationalism has come above partisan politics. Because you are talking about the Bureau. Today, I could go home and I will be picked. That Richard Kumadoe has gone to plot A, B, C, D. And my family will be asking, Richard, did you do it? Come on. We have to be serious, and they have to do it properly, because we are disrespecting our seniors if it is not true. If it's the conditional word, if it is not true, we are disrespecting our seniors and we are dragging their name through mud, because everybody will work and rise to the top. And that is the way he has to be.
Thank you very much. We'll move on now to GNPC. They are hot over planned sponsorship donations over 2 million Ghana cedis. So I'm going to read from citinewsroom.com. It says here, the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation has come under criticism over the budget of about 2 million Ghana cedis for donations and sponsorships of some public functions. So I'm going to quote what some of the monies are being used for. 400,000 Ghana cedis for the Damba Festival preparation at Dagbon State. The 20th anniversary of Ochehene, that's going to cost us 1.5 million Ghana cedis. So we're going to be paying 500,000 Ghana cedis over time for the environment and greening. 300,000 Ghana cedis for organizing the 20th anniversary celebrations. And of course, we're going to give, GJA, Ghana Journalists Association, 50,000 Ghana cedis, Ghana Boxing Association, 30,000 Ghana cedis, Rebecca Foundation, that's the First Ladies Foundation, 120,000 Ghana cedis. Iyoko is getting 550,000 Ghana cedis, and the list goes on. Actually, it ends with Yoko. Duncan, your thoughts on us GNPC spending 2 million Ghana cedis on these activities that are supposed to help, you know, their image, I guess.
The monies involved 50,000 shy of 3 million Ghana cedis.
Mm-hmm.
It is 2.95 million Ghana cedis that is being dissipated. And we issued a statement not long ago calling on government to halt and investigate the board and management of the GNPC on utilization of generated oil revenue. You live in a country where people expect the central government to provide certain minimal amenities. Government says we don't have the money. Government keeps coming at us every now and then with taxes. The underlying understanding is that government doesn't have money. Government is broke. So when you wake up and you look at the way and manner, the little resources that should have been channeled into some investments to yield some returns to us as a country is dissipated this way, you only get a lot more frustrated at your country. Is it true that we do not have money as a country? Or yes, we do have money for, permit me to say, some useless stuff.
Oh, but I mean, the 20th anniversary
I'm not even going into the details yet. Is it that we will find money for useless stuffs when we need to do them, as opposed to when people complain of their roads being bad, that we don't have money? When it's about the people, we don't have money. When it's about our cronies, friends, and favorites, some way, somewhat, the money always finds its way, where we don't even expect it to come from. Dziffa, let's go into the details or the nitty-gritties. You set up GNPC by certain acts of Parliament. I'll review those acts and tell you what you really put up GNPC to do. We set up GNPC with a core understanding that Ghana will strike oil. GNPC will hold it in trust. The Nkrumah government had even made efforts to procure these drill ships and all of them, right? With the understanding that when we strike oil, we wouldn't need a foreign oil company, right? Like you find in the news today, ENI, Tullow, and the rest. We could have managed our own oil wells, right? And whatever wealth that accrues would have accrued to the state. We somehow have run GNPC in a very funny, shambolic way. When we discover oil, we now have to wait on foreign oil companies to come and invest. But look at the application of GNPC resources. If you keep throwing monies away the way we're throwing it away, in the past there used to be funding of Black Stars, then we'll carry supporters. You know, the kind of investments whose returns you cannot even put a finger to. It's what we use GNPC monies for. And again, Dziffa, let me go back. If the government comes back to all of us, the poor trotro driver, the taxi driver, the military person, the teacher that is already paying so much, to pay a little more in taxes because we need revenue to develop. And you hear that the little revenues that we could have used for beneficial stuffs are being shared the way we are sharing them. Dziffa, you as a Ghanaian citizen would not only get peeved, but you start asking yourself questions. Is it that we have the money and they are lying to us? Or truly, we don't have the money? And so we should contribute a little more as Ghanaians.
But aren't these projects equally important?
Dziffa, how much of an importance would you put to a festival, right? Such that these festivals are not to be paid for by private corporations like MTN, right? Because it could go and advertise there. It could even go and increase the subscriber base. It could go and insist that, oh, you buy credit from us, so we are giving back something to you. Guinness Ghana, private companies within the country, Tigo, that would want to at least make a presence with some people, right? These are companies that have a direct interest in these festivals. If the government also has an interest, it goes through the Ministry of Culture, Creative Arts and Chieftaincy or whatever, right, to make a representation. If GNPC does not stick to its mandate, right, and will carry on sidestepping, running busybody all over the place, this is the results we will get. Initially, like I said, Black Stars. Beyond sponsoring Black Stars, GNPC will take the taxpayers' money, the oil revenue that we should be investing in discovering other wells, right? And producing oil. We will take those monies and fly supporters out of this country to another place to go and watch football. What returns does it give GNPC? Dziffa, again, now we are being told a certain traditional, area would need to be made green. And look at this. What is even more worrying? You are not paying for a year's, 1 year. You are paying for 3 years upfront. Dziffa, some traditional leaders in this country at the outset of Ghana's oil find and production, especially in the western region, had made certain demands that because the larger chunk of the oil we are exploring is coming from their enclave, we should give them a certain percentage to be able to develop their communities. We all declined. We spoke against it. If these chiefs wake up tomorrow morning and hear that the little oil revenue that should be used to develop for everybody is now being given to a certain traditional area.
Now that's also part of Ghana, no?
Dziffa, I'm getting even more frustrated. You see, it's the western north part of Ghana. Go and check up the state of their roads. Should GNPC not even feel a bit, responsible to them? That a larger chunk of the oil that these foreign companies are taking out is coming from your enclave. Go and check the state of roads. Appalling. Check the state of schools, even amenities, social amenities, healthcare. Totally bad. I was there last 2 weeks. Their roads are not more trouble. You cannot look at even, saying that the communities within which we operate, we have a corporate social responsibility towards you. So we are building clinics, we are improving your roads, so that the people can even say that the oil that is being taken out, beyond Ghanaians getting the benefits by free SHS and all of that, we are also getting some share of the cake. If they wake up and the only thing they hear is that monies are being given for a Damba festival, a certain Ochenhine 300,000, a certain 50,000, a certain all of that, trust me, it gives you headache. And we are calling on the government to ensure that it halts this one. Because if you don't, what you are telling other traditional authorities in the country, it's simple. GNPC is so rich, please come. Somebody wants to do greening, so we are paying him 3 years upfront. Others may not want to do greening, they may want to do hospitals. They may just want to do basic schools for their people to attend. Would GNPC be in a position to fund every traditional area within the country? As opposed to investing these funds into something that could give it returns, right? So that in the near future, you can look at GNPC like you look at Aramco. Look at Saudi Aramco, one of the richest entities, and it controls over 40% of the Saudi government's budget. Yet, we have made an oil find beyond getting very little from these foreign oil companies because we have signed bad oil deals with them. The entity that should also be supervising and building wealth to ensure that it becomes an active player down there is now dissipating the resources it gets. If it is not some of these things, you wake up as Black Stars. I'm sure there are a lot more that they apply our funds to that we haven't been told. And so we are saying government should go in there. The other disturbing thing, lastly, before I probably end, Iyoko is on record to be investigating the board chairman for GNPC.
Is it a conflict of interest?
Exactly.
Okay.
And then you wake up and you are told GNPC has advanced 550,000 Ghana cedis to Iyoko in support or whatever. What exactly are you telling Ghanaians? That now Iyoko cannot go ahead and do what it has to do because it's also a beneficiary of GNPC's largesse.
No, they can still get money from GNPC and investigate GNPC well.
Dziffa, Iyoko is a publicly funded entity. The state makes budgetary allocations to them. Expectation is that if the state wants more budgetary allocation, the state will add more. If Iyoko has other needs that it wants other corporate bodies to help it for, it goes to the private bodies. not another government entity, right? So if EOCO wants, let's say, telephone or telecommunication gadgets, you could simply, talk to some of these telecom companies and say, this is what we need, but our budget is unable to cater for. Does EOCO need to go back to another government agency to take funds when government has already given it budget? So clearly, conflict of interest situations are prevailing in there. You end up wondering whether GNPC has a focus at all. What is their 10-year development plan? 5 years, what do we see from them? Is it just going to be business as usual where we don't have money, we tax the people? When GNPC makes money, then it spreads the money to, its friends and favorites. That clearly cannot be allowed to continue, Dziffa. It is disappointing to say the least.
Okay, thank you. And it seems as though PIAC also agrees with you. PIAC is saying that we need to keep an eye on GNPC to check wasteful expenditure. So the technical manager of PIAC, Mark Ajeman, actually says, I'm going to quote him, it's recommending that so he said, it is a recommendation we've actually made to Parliament because we are worried that with the trajectory that the corporation is going, it will come to a time that GNPC will veer off completely from their core mandate.
It has already.
Do you agree, or should we? GNPC, they've done a lot of good things. So should we allow them, if they're saying a certain territory is celebrating 20 years anniversary, they want to make the place greener? Is it so bad? Is
it a greener or the anniversary of the chieftaincy?
It's all part of the celebration. Did we make him the chief or they made him the chief themselves? We have been to school. We have traveled across the whole world. I hold MBA finance. I'm a management accountant. Conflict of interest.
Exactly.
So therefore, people might be asking, are we getting value for money?
How is this a conflict of interest issue if Ochehene submitted a proposal and it was approved?
Then you go back to the people who say that family and friends.
No, other people could have submitted a proposal.
You saw the wife of the president there.
But she's doing a lot of great work for the country.
No problem about that. You remember when we discovered cocoa in this country? That some other people benefit from cocoa scholarship? Did we make that scholarship universal for every Ghanaian? No. So the Western people, I remember whether at Amil's time, they made an agitation that even the son from them should be made a minister. Look at the way we are governing ourselves. You remember GNPC, they brought a budget about some expenditure on the capacity building. You remember capacity building, they never explained what exactly it meant. NDC MPP, who become a board chairman, who works there. It's always a scramble for them. And they fight among themselves.
Exactly.
It become a cash cow for NDC MPP, party funding, and all manner of things they do.
But Ghanaians will benefit from all of this.
Which Ghanaians are benefiting?
Oh, the beneficiaries of the Rebecca Foundation, the beneficiaries of, Ochehene.
31st December said that they never benefited from the PNDC. And Mrs. Nana Konedu has stated that so clearly at the point he asked the husband for money. The husband said that go out there and look for money. Why do we do things that way? We are educated people. We've traveled across the whole world. Our eyes are open. We can do it far better.
And you see how other countries apply their limited resources, and we waste ours.
GNPC, you are struggling.
So you agree that this is a waste of resources?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that people will be asking whether celebration of festivals, the economic returns that comes with it.
20th anniversary.
Fine.
And it helps with the branding. People know that GNPC is directly influencing their lives.
Let me ask this question. The law of quasi-financial laws, was it meant purposely for my uncle Chachu Chikata? No. That law, anytime I sleep and think about it, that law, that particular law, the law of quasi-financial laws to the state, was it meant for only my uncle?
You think this is a financial loss to the state?
Chachu was the CEO of GNPC, and in spite of everything he did, you saw what happened to him. At the point, Citi just said that Chachu has become an albatross on his neck, and he was sandwiched and connived and all manner of things happened to him. This is particular GNPC we are talking about. And the lives of Chachu Chikata are still alive, and they'll look at the work they have done and how the benefit is being applied. And people will therefore be asking, celebration of festivals, does it give us the economic benefit that warrant the kind of money we are putting in there? Irrespective of the personalities involved. Even when you look at the principles, which my grandmother would say that look at the principles and not the personalities. Are we talking about principles here? And does what we are spending the money for warrant the kind of benefits that come from? Instead of constructing the roads at the western region where you get your bauxite, you get everything from. The between Takrade to Wasai Kopon, I don't know what has happened to that road, but you should go there and see the bauxite that come from there, those tracks and all those things.
Speaking of bauxite, so our last story is actually that the Baromia's advisor is saying that bauxite mining for Sinhydro deal will start in 2020. So perhaps, you know, all these developments will be part of the bauxite mining.
We even want them not to touch our forests because there's a study that shows that we are losing our forests faster than...
So you're not excited that we're starting February, January, we're going to be working on our bauxite mining?
In Atiwa Forest, we are calling on the anger of the gods. All the gods in Atiwa Forest, they should protect the forest. We are losing our forest while others are developing their own. We are losing it. We have been digging bauxite in this country.
$2 billion Sinhydro deal. That's a lot of money that we can use.
But we are giving $2 million.
Billion.
Remember this one. When we lost the 190 million from the PDS, you saw how the NDCN people were crying as if their money has gotten lost, missing. As if somebody has stolen their 190 million. There are Ghanaians who can even borrow them 190 million. There are Nigerians who can borrow them 190 million and go home and sleep with their family.
Okay, so you think 2 billion is not the end of the world? Okay.
Look at Ghana, our wealth, and you are talking about 2 billion. It's just a minute. Okay. And you are going to destroy our forest with the anger of the gods. We are calling on the anger of the gods at Atiwa.
To protect the forest.
To protect the forest.
Okay, thank you very much. Duncan, are you excited that we're finally going to embark on our Sinhydro deal come 2020?
They should just do a SWOT, cost-benefit analysis. I'm quite certain that the damage that will be done eventually, reclamation of those lands may even exceed the 2 billion we are clamoring for. Again, we have said that if government needs revenue, government should look at sustainable revenue, not just going to sign and giving your mineral and oil resource away cheaply. Once you do that, you've sold almost your sovereignty. And so these Chinese, these whatever, will come and rub it in our faces. They not only come, they also come and give birth with your young women, leave kids on you. So there's a social cost, there's an economic cost, there's an environmental cost that we need to be careful of. I do not think that I would jubilate because you are going for a loan to come and build your roads, for them to come and explore your bauxite and use the same roads, use their big trucks on these roads, right? Damage the roads. Over a period, they have recouped their 2 billion, but the infrastructure that you invested in would have equally gone bad within the same period, and you would have come back to cost 90. But what you would have lost at the tail end is a resource that you have given to them. I do not think that we should rush. Ghana has a lot of resources that the Swiss do not have. They do not have anything. We are blessed with natural resources. We are blessed with human resources. One fine one sits before you. We would not use the human resources that could turn things around for us. We would rather push them to the side, collapse their businesses, and bring the Chinese to come and do their own thing. Eventually, what we do is that we sell our economic rights and interests to these foreign powers, and we get nothing. Okay. I think that the politicians should think beyond what they will get immediately and think for the future.
Thank you. So I have some messages from our viewers that I'll read briefly. I was flabbergasted when I heard about GNPC lavishly spending the state's money. We are living in a country where children still sit under trees to learn, a country where some people share water with cattle and goats. Some of our citizens have to walk 30 kilometers before they can get malaria treatment. And here we are having a state institution like GNPC spend our money in entertaining our chiefs. Why will the state sponsor anyone celebrating his 20th anniversary or a group of people who are celebrating Damba? This is coming from Tafa in Amahia. Pajo from Big Shoe near Kwadas says, kudos to President Akufo-Addo for inspecting processes project at Adaklu. But before all the pressure from NDC, they don't have their own manifesto? Okay. Amelia from Asawasa says, when I see this country is frustration by leaders trying to lead us back to the culture of silence, God have mercy. Abbas from Offensive says, I knew from the day one Dr. Agozo will be targeted this MPP are just democratic dictators. They've never been democratic, but choose democracy only as a way to power. Someone also says, Bernard from Medina says, Dziffa, we safe as far as the alleged coup d'etat is concerned. Are we safe as far as the alleged coup d'etat is concerned? May God bless Ghana and keep us safe. There are more messages, but unfortunately we have run out of time. A big thank you to Richard Kumadoe, who is a security and risk analyst, for being with us this morning. Thank you. And of course, Duncan Amoah, who's the Executive Secretary of COPEC. Thank you for being with us.
You should be praying for all of us, because the way things are going, you wake up the next morning and some senseless thing befalls you simply because you do have a dissenting opinion to the way things are going. We should pray for each other. Things are not right.
Thank you guys at home for being with us. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this video.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Citi Tube,
for exclusive breakfast daily content and other Citi TV programs.
Like, comment, and share with your friends.